I got some Shadrack's Southern Pecan coffee in this Hewlett & Dunn mug. God, that stuff is good. I don't know where you can find it, but they got it at Hayes grocery stores in the Mid-South. It's good stuff. Hey, got a great one, Mr. College Football. Tony Barnhart joins us. Absolutely love it every time he's on. It's like, Christmas never gets old, and neither does having Tony Barnhart. He's just, every time he brings something new that you didn't know, and it is just awesome. Coach Matt Dean, John Hartwell, Gary Harris joins us in the second half. And we'll do a lot in between then on covering college football, the SEC, and the national picture. Take a picture, though, with your phone of the QR code as we are broadcasting live on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. 8 channels simultaneously. And then we do reels, stuff coming out. Share us and like us. Of course, the website is www.sidelines.live. You can go there and check out all of our sponsors. But we're going to have a great show today. There's so much to cover in college football. So who better to do it than these guys? And we'll start off right now. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for checking in and joining in with us. And I know this much, Tony. If you look at all the writing out there, all the possible scenarios of who's going to play who, it'll keep you up at night. But we got 3 weekends of the regular season left. Your grade on the season up to this point, Tony, I just tell you, judging by the insane wild crowd at the Touchdown Club for Clark Lee and his dad came Monday night in Memphis, that was awesome. That's the way it should be, always celebrating this great game.
Well, this on a scale of 1 to 10, this season's been a 10, and we're getting ready to have a weekend, guys. It usually things are not that crystal clear, but I think they're getting real crystal clear. And after this weekend, we're going to learn a lot. Think about these 4 home games, guys. Texas A&M, Alabama, Georgia, and Ole Miss, all playing home, all the contenders. And if they win, if the SEC goes 4-0 and those can go 4-0, I think they're almost locked into the playoffs. I'm saying this is a great, great week, Saturday we got coming up.
Yeah, especially over in Athens. One of my new members of our hunting club, Zach Hartman, who works for DU. He's a Georgia grad from Sarasota. In-laws live in Athens conveniently. Free place to stay. Season ticket holders forever. He can't get that one extra ticket he needs. That tells me there's a lot of demand for college football. What do you think is going to happen there between the hedges? I'd still like to call it that.
I think it's going to be a close game, as these Georgia games have been the last few weeks. Georgia has, to their credit, we always talk about teams that can't close out games. Georgia's one of those teams who knows how to close out games. Yeah. And they did it early last week against Mississippi State. They just put together a long drive and really broke Mississippi State's back early on in that game. The atmosphere is going to be incredible. A night game at Sanford Stadium. Don't get many of those. Yeah. And so it's going to be a great day. I like Georgia in this game, but closer than the experts think.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Matt Dean hopping here with Mr. College Football and Football Writers Association of America, poet laureate Tony Barnhart.
Great to see you again, Tony. I had a question for you. I was thinking about Texas, and 2 of their last 3 games obviously are against Georgia this weekend, and then Texas A&M. If the SEC, if Texas can go 2-1 and get to 9-3, can they sneak in as the 5th team? I mean, I know Oklahoma's got a chance too with Alabama, big game as well. But I'm really curious your thoughts on if Oklahoma or Texas gets 9-3, how that's going to play out.
Well, Matt, what I've told people is that, someday there is going to be a 9-3 team make the college football playoff. And I don't think I'm reaching, I don't limb very much to say that team will come from the Southeastern Conference. I don't think there's any question about that. So is it possible? Yeah, but the thing about it is there's so many teams that can finish with 2 losses. There's so many teams that can finish with 1 loss. And so it's good. You're going to run out of spots. But, yeah, it's absolutely possible. And if for nothing else, I'd love to see it happen just for the entertainment value for our friends from the Big Ten. I just think it would be fun. So,
John, jump into this one. I love that comment, Tony. I agree.
Yeah, I look at the Florida Ole Miss game. I mean, gosh, so many storylines in this. Obviously, Ole Miss 9-1, I think, and Tony will know this right off.
Yep.
The first time in 62 years, 63 years. The storylines about Lane Kiffin, does he stay? Does he go?
Mm-hmm.
It appears that Florida, I won't say it has emerged, because I think from the time that Florida made a change, Lane's name was at the top of the list.
Mm-hmm.
But it does look like if he were to go somewhere, that would be the one destination that he would go. So many storylines in that. But my question for Tony, and when we get into this coaching carousel, when the first domino drops, which it may not happen until the week of championship games in conferences, or even the week after that, when one domino goes, it's going to be interesting to see how the rest of them fall out. What are your thoughts on that?
No, I think that's exactly right. I mean, listen, nobody. I told somebody yesterday, nobody's going to make a move in the coaching carousel. It's spending and all that, but nobody's going to do anything till we find out the identity of the Lane Kiffin sweepstakes. Okay, everybody is waiting on him to make a move, and then Jimmy Sexton will ramp that sucker up, and boom, 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 new contract, on and on. So yeah, it's it could happen. My gut feeling just tells me that he's going to stay. He's going to maximize his opportunities at Ole Miss. There's a great quality of life there, as we've all been there. So but we'll see. And until we get to the playoffs, we're not going to know anything, I don't think.
Yeah, and that Grove Collective's over 15,000 members now. It's a populist movement for sure. Tony, looking around the SEC, you go back to the Florida State-Alabama game. There wasn't any overreaction on the part of Alabama's fan base. We know that. So everything was okay. But now they're playing – are they playing the best football in the SEC? Because people wanted to get rid of DeBoer. Now, they want to name their kids Kalen. What do you think's happening? Because I picked Georgia to play Bama for the SEC championship and Georgia to win, and I picked Bama to win that first time in Athens. So right now, I'm looking close, but that ain't good enough.
I like the way Texas A&M's playing. I mean, week after week after week, they just get better and better and better. And you can make the case for Texas A&M. You can certainly make the case for Alabama. I mean, how far has Ty Simpson come since the very beginning of the season? But I tell you who else is playing well, guys. That's the Georgia Bulldogs.
Yeah.
I mean, they are just absolutely dictating the terms of these games. And when the game was on the line against Auburn, against Ole Miss, last week against Mississippi State, when the game was on the line, they would put together a 7, 8, 9 play drive, score, and it literally just absolutely it breaks you guys know this who have coached. It breaks your will when a team does that to you. So Georgia's playing very well right now.
Yeah, Matt.
I agree, and I also I just love their quarterback. He's a winner. He competes. He can use his legs. He makes big plays, and they're battle tested in the fourth quarter. I think that's really important as we go down the stretch and we head into football games. I think what's amazing too is this is shaping up almost like a reverse. Well, the same thing happened last year when Oregon was won for all those weeks, and then they ended up getting knocked off in the quarterfinals. I think there are, 5, 6, maybe. Anyone can make a run. If you get in the playoffs and you're playing good football and you're healthy, you can make a run. And that's why I think, if you're Ole Miss and you're Lane, leverage it like Tony said, get in the football playoffs, make a run, and you're at a place you can win a national championship at, even though it's not been done with him. But we'll see. I'm really excited about – I think the Georgia game is fascinating because I think Georgia wins the game, and I think it probably knocks Texas A&M out. That's my initial thoughts. And then Oklahoma, Alabama – how can you argue against Ty Simpson right now? I think Ty Simpson, if I had a vote right now, I would put him at the top of my Heisman ballot.
He's playing well. Guys, the other thing that keeps cropping up, why should Lane Kiffin stay at Ole Miss? Because you can't win a national championship at Ole Miss. It's wrong. It's wrong on so many levels. I told this guy who asked me that question, I said, God, can Ole Miss win an SEC championship? Well, yeah. Well, then if you can win an SEC championship, you can win a national championship, because once you're in the playoffs, as Matt pointed out, you can make a run. And that's what it's all about. So absolutely, you can win a national championship at Ole Miss.
Well, you know that Texas A&M program, and I know you were high on Texas and Texas A&M in the preseason. The Clark Lee talked about how his path to the Vanderbilt job was because Mike Elko left Notre Dame to take the job at A&M, which elevated him to defensive coordinator. And now Clark is back home, and his dad's medical practice is located about 2 blocks from campus. So he's living the life there. I got to ask you, what's kept Texas A&M from being where they are now the last 10, 15 years?
The answer is the same year after year. You have to have the right head coach.
Yeah.
You got to have the right head, because you can gather all this talent and all that, but if you're going to win championships, you've got to have the right head coach. And I talked to the Texas A&M people when they hired Mike Elko and said, "This guy's really good, Tony.
Yeah.
He's really good. See what he's done." And so far, so good. They're a tough, hard-nosed football team, and it's fun to watch them play.
Yeah,
Quarterback's not bad either.
Yeah. Yeah. He's a Penn graduate, Ivy League guy. I don't know if he went to Wharton, got his MBA, but he is a damn smart guy, Hartwell. You know people like that. You're a CPA.
Hey, in my previous life, the one thing that I think is really interesting, and I totally agree with Georgia and Alabama, no disrespect to A&M, but continuity in today's world of NIL and the transfer portal, I think it's no secret that down the stretch with Alabama and Georgia, the guy pulling the trigger has been there. And, they aren't caught up in, hey, let me hit this transfer portal button and test the free agency market. Both of those guys are pretty well locked in to Alabama and Georgia respectively. And I think that helps team chemistry. Because again, all these teams we talk about are ultra talented. But at the end of the day, when you have a tough situation, when you're coming from behind in the fourth quarter, who's going to be there to pull that group together to have success? And I had not, admittedly so, watched a whole lot of Indiana until watching the fourth quarter of their game last week. My gosh, you can say it's a team of destiny. You can say this and that, but that's a talented group who believe in each other, and they're going to be a tough out for somebody.
Yeah. Tony,
Yeah. I just think when talent is equal, that's when coaching comes into play. I learned a long time ago, the team of the best players usually wins, and that's usually the case when you're talking about the Southeastern Conference. I just think it's going to be an incredible run down in November and Saturday. I'm really torn. I'm supposed to be in Athens, and that's the plan right now. But I am looking at those games I just rattled off to you, and I want to see all of them.
Yeah,
and that's it's just going to be a great Saturday.
Yeah, thank goodness for the multi-view. Those of us that can watch college football, I stream on YouTube, so I'm just relying on the neighbors putting the blinds up. Tony, I say it every day, but I mean they hadn't worked that out. Any idea on the progress, if there's any, in working out? I mean, I think the federal government's thinking about reopening. I don't care about that. I do care about YouTube getting college football going.
I heard more stories about how creative people had to get to watch the games last week. I was with my boys down in Jacksonville, and turned out was that one of us had a Hulu account that you can move from place to place to place. That would be me.
Yeah.
All right. I said, "Boys, I think I got an answer," and we solved it. But I talked to a lot of people who were just so frustrated about that whole thing. But to answer your question, Rob, I haven't seen any progress. These guys don't feel the pressures that we feel in terms of trying to get the games on. So
yeah, I don't know what are they losing a day? I saw some number.
5 million, I heard, a day.
Is that it?
That's what I heard.
I thought it was a lot more than that. Yeah.
Well, 5 million a day is no pocket change, Rob.
Yeah. I mean,
that's almost like real money,
Yeah. That is. And then an interesting thing about Fernando Mendoza, Chuck Oliver calls him Fernando Hayes Mendoza. He's from Miami. You know where he was? He was at Cal. I guess, he didn't want to play for Brian Harsin. He transfers to Indiana. Who right now, Tony, your top 3 Heisman candidates? And is this race this year pretty compelling?
I think it is compelling. As far as my top three, I mean, you got to look at what they've done at Texas, what he's done at Texas A&M. I think he's been consistently been very, very good. Mendoza, you know, I've been so impressed with what they did. So a group asked me the other day, says, "Who is this year's Indiana?" I said, "It's Indiana." Okay, they've done it again, and none of us, be honest, none of us thought they would do it again. Last year was, they had great talent, but they also had the right schedule, and you're just not going to do it in a row. But yeah, what they did against Oregon, yeah, that caught my attention. Still got Texas A&M at 2, though. Still got Texas A&M needs to be at 2.
Yeah, I mean, if going back 10 years ago, Tony, if this group right here were at the Fresh Air Barbecue over in Jackson, Georgia, and that's pretty good barbecue, I might add, near Monticello. And we were talking about Indiana and Vanderbilt and schools like that being in the college football playoff, they would have probably told us to leave. I mean, but that's where we are now.
True story. When I was at Texas A&M going to the midnight yell and all that kind of stuff, Texas A&M was playing Florida and all that. I go to have some lunch at a bar, and I sit down, and everybody's dressed out in Texas A&M gear. This one guy sitting right next to me eating at the bar was head to toe Indiana, and I said, "I know there's a story there somewhere. You got to tell me. You're sitting here in the middle of Aggie land." He said, "My dad's an Indiana guy. My mom's an Indiana person." So I said, "So those Indiana guys, they're everywhere."
Yeah. I love that. Matt, jump back in.
No, I had a chance. I'm kind of one of those YouTube customers, Rob, that's struggling right now too. I'm waiting to buy the ESPN app till we get closer to the playoffs. But I had games to coach this weekend, guys. Basketball actually is upon us right now at Rhodes College. So I caught after our game, I caught the second quarter of the Oregon-Iowa game. And as someone that grew up a Hawkeye, I grew up in the state of Iowa, Tony, and love my Hayden Fry, love my Kirk Ferentz. It was really interesting. My son's on their staff, watched that game. It was old Schlobberknocker, and I was really impressed. Oregon had their number one receiver, their tight end, and their right tackle out, and they rushed the ball for 263 yards against Iowa, who was giving up under 90 a game. And I'm not saying Oregon's going to make that run, but it goes back to my initial point. I talk about compelling. I think it's going to be one of the most interesting college football playoffs, let alone these next 3 weeks. We're going to see a team. I mean, it could be Ole Miss. I mean, it could be like I'm with you, Tony. I may have not only do I have A&M 2 right now. I mean, Ohio State had a great win against Texas to open the season, but I'll tell you, who have they beaten since? We're going to find out a lot about Ohio State when they have to go to Michigan and snap that 4-game losing streak.
Hey, Matt, I need to ask you a question. Is Kirk Ferentz? I had a chance to meet him, spend some time with him several years ago when he was named the Bobby Dodd Coach of the Year. Yes. I'm on the board of directors there. I was very impressed with him. He's going to coach forever, right? Because I keep looking up saying I'm going to retire, but he's still there and he's still winning.
You know, Tony, the guys love him. There was a time when the fan base was unhappy with his son as offensive coordinator, and
yes,
that was really tough. And the a new AD came in and actually removed him of that problem. And some folks thought that may lead him to retirement. But I'm with you. I think he's really in a good spot. I think they're starting to figure out the NIL game because Iowa, Gronowski was at South Dakota State, their quarterback, and he's probably more of a running guy. But they finally figured out the quarterback position. They've always had linemen at Iowa, and a lot of people don't realize this is probably the first year in a while they don't have a linebacker that probably is going to play in the NFL. Jack Campbell with the Lions, Jay Higgins is on the Baltimore Ravens roster, so. I think they're an intriguing team. Now, they have to go to USC this week, and I think in the West Coast has always been a hard thing for Midwest teams. But I think Kirk, I mean, he was back when Hayden Fry hired him back in the early 80s when he was starting out in coaching. And then he left to go back, I think, either Maine or somewhere up in the Northeast. And he was on Belichick's staff with Saban and the Browns for a while. So he's a great O-line guy. Their O-lines are always talented, and I think they're starting to figure out the NIL game because there's a big collective up there, Tony.
Cool.
Well, Tony, you're not getting out of here without telling us about Yell Night. John Hartwell. I mean, first off, did they explain the cheers and all like that?
Oh, yeah.
Because I've already said if A&M wins, Brendan and I are wearing white jumpsuits on the show. If they win it all, I don't know where I can get one, but I'm getting one.
It's as I'm going around and doing research for this book that I'm doing. I never had been to Texas A&M's midnight yell, and I just called my friends that there. You guys know Alan Cannon, who's been at Texas A&M forever. I called him and told him what I wanted to do. I said, Tony, you come to Texas A&M, and I will take care of you personally and navigate you through the midnight yell.
Yeah.
35,000 people at Kyle Field at midnight. Okay. They come marching in, and it's this combination of the cadets, students. They bring all three cannons that they've got. It was just absolutely incredible. And the way that it works is you have yell leaders, but you have one primary yell leader who knows all the yells, and he has hand signals, and everybody knows which yell it's going to be based on his hand signals. And it was just phenomenal. It's just so much fun. And I didn't know you could get 35,000 people in there at flat, particularly students and cadets at midnight, but it was something real. I'll never forget it. And it's one of those things that it absolutely lived up to the hype.
Yeah.
It was absolutely great.
Well, it's what we love about the history, the traditions, the heroes of college football. I mean, that's whether you're a fan or not, you have to just marvel at that. R.C. Slocum is still with us, isn't he?
R.C. Slocum. As a fact, R.C. and I came to his house.
Good.
R.C. Slocum's got this great room that his wife Nell have put together from 60 years of coaching.
Oh.
And he calls it. He took me in this. You know what we call this, Tony? We call this "I love me" room.
Well,
there's the lead yell right there on the screen. But yeah, Coach Slocum is with us. I had dinner with he and his wife Nell, and I've known RC for a long, long time. One of the truly great human beings in our sport.
He is. And when Mac Browne was on this show about 6 weeks ago, he was in his studio. He goes, I call this my me room. My wife said, put all your stuff up here. And he's built a studio, and he came on our show. What a privilege that was. And I think he and RC are friends, aren't they?
They're very close friends.
But
As a matter of fact, when RC and I were together, he mentioned Mac Browne. I've known Mac since he was the head coach at Appalachian State in 1983. God. We become really good friends. As a matter of fact, we called Mac and got his voicemail, and RC left a message. So yeah, they're very close.
He mentioned that, and he said sometimes Texas people I'm like, look, all I know is growing up with knowing some coaches, and Tony, you know a lot more than me, but I know Ralph Jordan Jr. is a good friend, and his godfather is Wally Butts. I'll leave it at that. You better be careful. That's what I love about these rivalries. They're very close, and there's a ton of respect. And we all know our families are all mixed, different fan bases, and that's what makes it special. John, jump back in here, man. This is great stuff. Thank you, Brendan, for putting up this video. That is an incredible. That's 35,000 more than a lot of schools draw for a game.
Yep.
Yeah, it is quite the tradition. And as you said, Rob, I mean, obviously the ultimate product are the games on the field, but the traditions around, every school in college football, they've got their own, some are more storied than others and longer lasting. But this is all part of what makes our sport. And just like Tony said at the top of the sport, are there things that need tweaked and corrected and everything else? Yeah, absolutely. And we continue to do that in the sport. You've got to be willing to adapt and change. But the end product and the popularity, whether your team is in the hunt for a CFP spot or not, the popularity of college football has never been greater. And, that's something that's really important, that all of us involved in it, whether you're at an institution or you're writing about it or talking about it, any capacity, we've got to continue to protect that and not let the negativity and the things that can detract from that, gain steam.
Amen. Tony, what John just said, and we got a few more minutes before I know you got a busy day ahead of you. You've said it so many times. I wish Sam Kinison was still alive. Remember him? Say it! Not even the adults can screw it up. God rest his soul, Sam. But The thing I've noticed is I'm an Auburn grad, but I've got 16 kids doing this show, and I love them all. I get it. I've always got something to be excited about. You pick the fan base, whatever. My wife of all, she's mad. My oldest daughter now, Mallory, she's Alabama. She's on top of the world. She's in Atlanta because she gets to go to the championship game if they're in it. Tell people a message before you go, and then talk about your book that you're working on and how people can follow you. And as always, thank you more than you know for sharing your time with us. It means the world to us.
Well, this is a classic example of what college football means. I've got one of my wife's cousins runs a huge tailgate just outside of the east entrance to Sanford Stadium, and he's already reached out to me this week. You coming to Athens, right? You coming to Athens, right? And I will be there, Mel. It'll be great. And so it's as far as the book is concerned, I have not covered many games. I've been to a bunch of games, but I haven't covered any games really to speak of, because I'm gathering material for the book. The working title, and this is my 50th year of covering college football, and so I'm not going to get to all 16 campuses, but I'm going to get to most of them. I didn't even mention Barry Switzer. I had lunch with Barry Switzer at the Midway Deli in Oklahoma, which was just an incredible thing. But the book is put together. It's going to come out late next year. The working title is Mr. College Football, 50 Years of SEC Memories.
Yeah.
Published by the University of Georgia Press, who did my last book, the 19 of Green. And so I've had a lot of fun. My deadline is March for the manuscript. So I've had a lot of time gathering the material. I had so much fun. Now I got to sit down and start writing the sucker.
Yeah. Well, like Satchel Paige, Let's Play 2. I love it when you and Buddy Martin say, I'm on a deadline, or Kevin Skarbanski. You still love to hear that. Is sweet music. And what the gift that you have, Tony, besides putting a lot of complex stuff in the vernacular with ease, is you personalize and make us understand that these are our people. I mean, R.C. Slocum, I know Coach Dye loved him, and he loved that old collie dog. That's when they came to the SEC. He goes, they're going to fit right in. They got more traditions than we do. So college football, I think, is in great hands. So, and then, you'll be at the game Saturday covering it, though, won't you?
That is the plan right now. So.
All right. Tony, thank you so much. Mr. College Football, always a pleasure.
All right, guys. Take care.
See you, Tony.
I tell you, Matt, I love what you just said about Hayden Fry, because I think he came in 1979 to Iowa. And I remember as a kid watching Iowa go to the Rose Bowl in 80 or 81. And I had some clients that were the only people I know on record in Western civilization that lived in Memphis and had a vacation home in Des Moines, Iowa. Just don't hear that a lot. They have them in Palm Beach, Johns Island, the Caymans, but Des Moines. And they left everything in their estate to the University of Iowa. And when they made that big gift, they were still living, obviously. Hayden Fry invited them to be up in the press box in his seat at the games. They said that was, he was a Texas guy, went to SMU. Mm-hmm. I mean, but you talk about a guy that just epitomizes college football. And when we pheasant hunted back in the late 90s, started going out to Iowa, those people up there, they were football junkies. I mean, they were asking us, they go, tell me about that Larry Munson guy. And I'm like going, well, there are only 86 seconds left. The dogs are in a jam. They're tied up here. I don't know how they're going to do it. The sun may fall to the earth. Larry was always waiting for the other shoe to drop. But John Hartwell, Matt Dean, and everybody watching, I do think this college football season's been really fascinating. My only gripe is it just goes way too fast. How do we slow it down?
Yeah, I mean, I think the off season, if you will, which there's really not now between the transfer portal and spring football and the coaching carousel, everything else. I think that's actually healthy for the sport, because the off season builds the anticipation of the next year. Oh, and by the way, and I know Matt is neck deep in this already. SEC basketball, and we'll get to talking about that, at some later dates. But SEC basketball, is a far cry from what it was even 10 years ago, much less 25 years ago. And the competitive nature and the excitement around SEC basketball has grown exponentially. And, a lot of credit of that's got to go to Greg Sankey and the folks at the SEC office who have been very intentional about elevating basketball and not just men's basketball, women's basketball too, obviously with South Carolina and LSU and Tennessee. It is amazing. So the frenzy, maybe not at so much of a fevered pitch, will continue post whatever the date of the CFP game is. I think it's on Martin Luther King Day, maybe the 19th, 20th, something like that of January down in Miami. But this momentum is not going to change. Like I said, are there things we've got to fix? Yeah. The recent gambling scandal, that's got to be addressed at the collegiate level some. And I think you're seeing a movement, even though everybody heard 6 weeks ago, hey, it's going to be okay for student athletes and coaches and staff at the collegiate level to bet on professional sports. I think you may see that rescinded here in the next couple of weeks. But the thrill and excitement and anticipation of games through the roof.
Yeah. Well, and Gary Harris is logging in right now from Tuscaloosa. Now, what I see with college football during the regular season, you've got a lot of frustrated fan bases. Florida, they were first, then LSU. Well, Arkansas did it first after the Notre Dame meltdown. Arkansas, Florida, LSU, Auburn. 4 schools right now are looking for their new coach. Coach may already be on the staff. We don't know, Matt Dean. But as a coach, an interim coach or whatever, you get a bump usually that first week. Then it kind of goes back to reality, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. But I just commend, I thought DJ Durkin was fabulous. I really did. How he's maintained that locker room. And it's interesting. They didn't win, Rob, but they scored a bunch of points.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be probably the most compelling offseason with carousel coaches we've ever seen. And we say that every year. But this year, if you'd have told me preseason, Penn State had national championship expectations, and week 5, week 6, James Franklin's no longer the head coach, I would have just amazingly shocked. I don't know if that's a logical term.
Gary, wouldn't you say that the inauspicious start for Penn State once they started playing legitimate competition was similar to what happened with Alabama in 2000 when they were preseason top 5? They went out you played at UCLA, and Deshaun Foster had that big day. I'll never forget. It was I think they played Labor Day. It was a Monday. I think that game was a Monday because I was at a dove hunt over in Black Oak, Arkansas, home of the Ozark Mountain Daredevils. Jackie Blue. I just thought they were not there at the dove hunt. But Gary, first off, how you doing? Thank you so much for joining us. Let's talk some college football and what's going on in Tuscaloosa. There's a lot.
There really is. Rob, this is a big week, and I spoke at the Morning Rotary Club earlier, and I was asked about having these 2 games that are huge games: basketball tonight against Purdue, and football against Oklahoma. And it's very similar storylines in that Purdue kind of thumped Alabama last year up there, and we know what Oklahoma did to the football team out there. Kept them out of the college football playoffs. So I think these are big games, and they're also payback games to some degree, if you want to look at it like that. But starting with basketball tonight, Matt Painter is good. I don't go around tracking coaches or watching everybody play, but to me, Matt Painter is I think he's top 5 coach in college basketball, and I think coach is too. So I'm just said we got a top 5 coaching matchup tonight. And if I winded it down and we maybe pick this guy, I might have more than 5. But I think they're 2 of the best coaches in America, and they do it in different ways. I mean, this is 2 different styles of basketball. This is going to be a battle of wills. I mean, you look at Alabama, and I think we might have touched on this last week. They really practice hard, the style that they play. it's hard for Rob, for Nate Oates to have a full roster. I mean, I was thinking back this morning because somebody asked me about it at the Rotary Club about the injuries, and I'm like, I don't know that I can remember a time since he's been here that everybody that's on the roster has been available.
Yeah.
You know, and now tonight you got two big guys out against a team that is going to try to pound the paint. Now, Braden Smith, listen, Braden Smith's great point guard. He can keep up with Holloway and Filine, but they're going to try to pound you in the paint, get you in foul trouble. And then Alabama's going to try to get out, in transition and get easy buckets. So it's two different styles. Both teams play the way they play, and Purdue outscored Alabama last year. I didn't think Purdue necessarily shut Alabama down last year. So I don't want to give you this feeling they're going to try to keep it in the 50s. That's not true, but they're going to play a different brand of basketball. So I like Alabama tonight. I wish that, they weren't as banged up as they are, particularly with two post guys out, but I still think they'll win the game. And this Saturday, I like the Tide as well. And I'll tell you why. That game last year in Norman was, Ty Simpson called it spooky Saturday night. He said it was just, that day it was 75 degrees. It dropped like 30 degrees. He said it was like a little fog hovering over. Alabama just wasn't ready to go. And they got thumped. And I think for the guys that were out there, he played one play. He came in from Milroe. Well, Milroe had a helmet come off or something, or went out for a minute. He said, they want this game badly because of what it represents and because of what happened last year. And I think, too, the South Carolina game, near miss, barely got out of there, did not play well against LSU. I'm not saying they, all this circling game stuff and all that, but I do think that they've been eyeing this game, understanding what happened last year, understanding what it represents, knowing that next week you got Eastern Illinois. So you don't have to worry about the Iron Bowl right now. You can put your full focus on Oklahoma. You can start working on the Iron Bowl next week before Eastern Illinois, then be ready to go to Jordan-Hare. So I think Alabama's going to be dialed in. I think they're going to play well, and I think they're going to win the game. Okay, so that's my two-game synopsis.
Yeah, and I like the comments from Kerry Jones up in Lebanon, Tennessee. Love this guy. I've been a viewer of the show since we started. You got, of course, Alabama, Purdue, and then Auburn hosting #1 Houston Sunday at Legacy Arena there in Birmingham. I mean, college basketball, and I got my basketball roster here, a 6'7" sophomore from UMS Wright High School in Mobile, John Hartwell, and Matt Dean from Davenport, Iowa, who was the manager. Didn't you walk on it, Drake? It makes the story sound more compelling.
I wish I walked on it, Drake. I was the manager when Tom Abatamarco was the coach, and Tom Abatamarco actually worked with Jim Valvano with that great national championship when V's after the Lorenzo Charles dunk. V's looking for someone to hug. Tom Abatamarco was out there as well. So that was my first experience in college basketball. He was a little bit of a lunatic, but it worked out.
Hey, Lunatic Fringe, man. I love that song. But, I think the coolest thing, Gary, you just said, you've now got college basketball, college football in the state of Alabama. Like, there's competition. Now, like I said, I just hope my neighbors have the blinds pulled up Saturday because I stream on YouTube. And, if that tonight, the Alabama game, how am I going to watch it? John Hartwell, Matt, Gary, anybody? Are y'all all streaming?
Hey, I'm one of those who has been. I've been fuboed. I bit the bullet last week. It took me forever with YouTube TV to get disconnected and refunded, but I've made the jump to Fubo. So I did see something this morning. Supposedly, YouTube TV and the ABC/Disney /ESPN folks are talking, but I went ahead and made the change. So, hey, I've got to ask Gary this, and I don't want to jump ahead from what's going to be an unbelievable weekend of college football, but in talking to both Alabama folks and the Ole Miss folks, there's this lingering concern in the back of their heads. If you fast forward 2 weeks, I know when Ole Miss goes to Starkville, and when Alabama goes to Auburn, although Auburn and Mississippi State neither have, they've had challenges throughout the year.
Yes.
Both fan bases are worried as hell about those games 2 weeks out. Now, as Tony said earlier, it may not matter if they went out between now and then, is a loss in the Iron Bowl for Alabama or the Egg Bowl for Ole Miss going to keep them out? Maybe not, but it could do this. It could force them to go on the road in a first-round CFP game. So any thoughts on that, Gary? Have you heard that background chatter? I know it's a little ways away.
Yeah, it's I mean, we know what rivalry games are. I mean, they're just different. And at the end of the year, when you're playing your in-state rivals, or Ohio State, Michigan aren't in-state, but those type of games that, I don't think you can throw the record book out. I don't agree with that. I think the best team usually wins, but I do think that when you're going to the other team's stadium and you've got teams like Mississippi State and Auburn, who obviously are better, more talented than the record would indicate for both those teams. I mean, they've been in games. It's not like they've been going out and getting beat 40-0. That hasn't happened. So they've had a chance to win a lot of games, and they just haven't done it. So yeah, there's concern. I mean, and I think for Alabama's standpoint, there's almost a feeling that Auburn, could salvage their season to some degree if they win this game. You can't, because when you have a bad year, you have a bad year. But but obviously it would be a positive for them. But I think right now, John, because this Oklahoma game is so big, I don't hear a lot of Iron Bowl chatter yet, because I think Alabama fans are so concerned about this game on Saturday afternoon. To be honest with you, I think that concern is there, but it's kind of in hibernation right now. I think Alabama fans, because listen to this. This SEC, we've talked about it. It's like the mini NFL, man. Whether you're playing a rival or not, you better be ready to strap it on every week in this league. What if Texas goes to Georgia and wins? Yeah. What if Oklahoma goes to Alabama and wins? Then all of a sudden there's flux in the SEC. And then Alabama, if they were to lose to Oklahoma, could be playing Auburn for a spot in the CFP, because I'm not sure if you lose 2 of your last 3 and wind up 9-3, that you might get in the college football playoff, or you might not. So this is a big weekend, and we'll have, if Georgia wins and Alabama wins, the chalk kind of holds, then it kind of clears up the picture a little bit. But if Texas and Oklahoma were to win, it would change a lot of things.
Absolutely. You look at Tony Barnhart was on right before you came on, said there's going to be a 9-3 team get into the college football playoff eventually, and it's probably going to be from the SEC.
I would think, yeah.
If Texas gets in at 9-3, get ready for the, black helicopters, tinfoil hats, the conspiracy theorists. They're going to be coming out. I mean, Twitter will be on fire, because there's 30 million people that we know of in the state of Texas. And there's a lot of color TVs out there. Not all of them are suffering like we are from streaming. But guys, I think Alabama, I'm still holding Alabama, Georgia SEC championship, but some things that got to happen, John. I mean, for that to happen. But Oklahoma, John Mateer's hand, Gary, that's the most compelling story. His thumb. I mean, can he throw the ball?
Well, from what I'm reading, he can. I mean, again, maybe but I've read from out there, Norman, positive reviews on his throwing and his thumb. So I'm not saying it's 100%.
Yeah,
but it's a lot better. There's no doubt when he first came back, it was impacting him.
Oh yeah.
But what I've been able to read, they're saying that he's ready to go. So, we'll see. I mean, I think from an Alabama standpoint, it would be good if he's struggling to throw the ball.
You absolutely. I can't throw, Coach.
But, I mean, they are coming off a bye. My expectation is that Mateer's going to be is going to be ready to go.
Yeah.
Rob, I'd say this on all 4 of those games, and maybe not as much talk about South Carolina at Texas A&M, just because South Carolina, although they have the talent to give them a game, but in that game, Oklahoma at Alabama, Florida at Ole Miss, Texas at Georgia, I think you're going to see some really good football games, but I've got to go with the home team in each of those. Hey, one other really quick thing, Rob. I've got to clarify. I said I've been FUBO'd. That was a TV change. I was asked to clarify that, because I know you used to be, speaking of fashion plates, I know you used to be a big FUBU guy, but
yes,
FUBO is the cable thing. Speaking of which, I have asked Brendan to pop back in the screen, because Gary, Brendan, and myself all have on button-down shirts today.
Yes.
What are the odds?
You other guys need to step your game up.
What in the world happened?
I'm in coaching gear,
I'm
man.
used-
I got games this weekend. I got coaching gear on.
I'm usually in a hoodie or a t-shirt. I had to get up and get dressed early this morning.
I'm wearing a Barber quarter zip from Hewlett and Dunn Boot and Clothing Company on the historic square in Collierville, Tennessee. But you know what? Speaking of John Mateer's hand, there hasn't been so much focus on an athlete's hand. I'd have to go back to, I'd say the 1996, the World Bowling Championship in Tahoe, Lake Tahoe. Roy Munson's rubber hand. I mean, it's that big a deal. Who will ever forget that hand rolling on the back of the John Mateer's hand? Gary, Saturday in Tuscaloosa. You know Alabama's licking their collective chops to get Oklahoma. And we had Barry Switzer on the show with us 3 weeks ago. That dude is 87 years old, and Brendan will back me up on this one. He doesn't – there's no filter, which I loved.
Yeah, how many cuss words did he drop?
I mean, it's like the first time we had Jackie Sherrill on. He was telling a story about being in the cafeteria at the athletic dorm talking to Coach Browne about Pat Trammell. And he said something about who that, and after he goes, did I drop an? Coach, don't worry about it. I'll never forget that one. You can imagine Switzer and Sherrill on a podcast together. You would have to have double earmuffs, man.
Like I said, it has to be a podcast.
Yes,
I was telling the Rotary Club this morning, they were asking about all the cursing. I said, well, listen, local TV, we're still under FCC guidelines.
That's right.
Yeah, let me understand. It's another thing about local TV. I go in there talking like that, I'm getting fired.
But it has different implications in the sense of that the algorithms will lower your importance if you have a lot of cuss words. Yeah. So we may not get or you'll get dinged by you won't get paid by your revenue share or something like that. So it's a little bit more sneaky in that way.
Yeah. We want to always be mindful of.
I still want to ask John about Rob's Fubo warm-up suits that he used to wear.
Whoa!
Hey,
I lost my license.
Maybe it's a Memphis thing. That's we talked about Jimmy Sexton earlier. Jimmy Sexton and the velour warm-up suits that he wears are classic.
I mean, right out of Goodfellas.
I mean, they're easy to get on and off, I guess. But how did you pronounce it again, John? Did you call it Fobo, or what would you say? What was the pronunciation?
Fubo is the TV thing. Fubu, I think, is a clothing line.
Yes, it's a clothier.
I just wanted to see how we were making those pronunciations there.
So true story about that app. When Tyler started with Oregon, they were in the Pac-12, and there's certain games that we could only get on through Fubo. We had to get that app because they didn't cover a lot of the Pac-12 after dark on. So crazy.
Well, I tell you what,
right now because they were too expensive, and then they kind of. Pooped the bed there, and then they kind of make it. This is their chance to come back in, but they're pricey. Yeah, that's where every game is. Like if you don't get it on ABC, if you don't follow the scroll, it's going to be on Fubo and like maybe one or two other. You're going to have to get the ESPN app if the games are not tonight. If you don't see a change on tonight because they're in talks apparently. If by tonight there isn't a change, you can pretty much bet by tomorrow there will not be, or by Saturday there will not be a fix.
Well, there are two things they could do to resolve this conflict. Bring back Henry Kissinger, who'd be about 120 now, and get the peace pipe out. I mean, because this is ridiculous.
Sources report that basically it's potential deal on Disney's quarterly earnings call today on the 13th. It resolved the channels could return within hours up ahead of the NFL and college football. Blah 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 blah. Check YouTube and ESPN for your more information. So it really is what Disney's doing and what's happening.
Oh, finance. See, here's the Wall Street Journal I have. The finance has come into college football. And Gary, let me ask you about the finances. Right now, Alabama football is rolling. You're selling out every game. The interest, it's incredible what we got going on. And again, basketball and football coming together. You'll be at the game tonight. And that game is in Coleman Coliseum.
You broke up on me. The game tonight's at Coleman Coliseum. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that is going to be an incredible atmosphere.
Yeah.
Look, I've got the Tide 100.9 app on my cellular phone, so I listen to a lot of Alabama games on there. I listen to a lot of different schools' games on this, but it'll be big. And we're going to get into college basketball. Man, Thursdays are going to be fun, Gary, because I know you love college basketball.
Yeah,
You
tidbit
cover
about
it,
tonight too that you guys may find interesting. Now, this does not include SEC, obviously. And I know Houston came in here a couple years ago, and I thought they were 2 or 3. But this is the highest-ranked non-conference opponent to ever play inside Coleman Coliseum. Of course, Purdue's 1 in the coaches' poll, 2 in the AP poll. So a little bit of history tonight, too.
Here's the question. When you beat them, are you going to say you beat number 1 or number 2? What's the standard?
Well, I always
that
go
drives
by
me
the
crazy.
AP poll. That's just me as a broadcaster. I've always leaned on the AP poll. But, the coaches' poll counts too. So it is 1 in one poll, 2 in the other poll, I guess. So,
well, if you beat them, I can guarantee you one guy from North Alabama, Roll Tide Willie, is going to say, "We beat number 1." Have you met that guy, by the way?
I have not. I have not met him, and that's odd because he's here so much now, and he's. Before he really made it big, somebody reached out to me. I guess the guy about possibly having him on my show, but at the time, I didn't know too much about him. So I was like, no, I mean, I had seen that, what his little catchphrase, and I was like, no, I'm not really that interested in having him on.
No.
I mean, I guess I'm.
Well, you might want to get him on early in the morning before he starts, hitting the sauce. He's kind of like Otis Campbell from the Andy Griffith Show, but it is awesome. John Hartwell. You're looking at the big picture of college athletics right now. How healthy are we?
I think it's healthy. I think you're going to continue to see, though, a further divide between the haves and the have-nots. And I know this sounds like Groundhog Day. We've talked about that. It's going to be difficult, and with every cycle that goes through, the combination of the coaching carousel here in the next couple of months and the transfer portal opening in early January, even more intriguing, that transfer portal is made that way by that as of today, and I say that with an asterisk by it because it may change from an NCAA perspective again between now and the spring, but we've reduced back down to 1 transfer portal. So I believe, despite all the red flags people are raising about slowing down the amount of money being spent, I believe you're going to exponentially see NIL dollars go up as it relates to especially football. And I think you're going to see coaching contracts amounts go up. It would be, it's kind of fantasy land to say, well, all of the ADs and all the institutions are going to lock arms and nobody's going to do a long-term contract and nobody's going to have a huge buyout and it's going to be a low base salary and, further emphasis put on incentives. But as long as one school is not doing that, it's not going to hold water. So I think you're going to continue to see the investments made because people are so passionate about it. That there has never been a time where people have been so invested, both financially and in terms of watching sports, attending sporting events, all of those things as it relates around college sports. The popularity has never been higher. So you're going to continue to see more and more money put in there because this goes back again to the whole YouTube TV deal. It boils down to 2 things: dollars and cents. And I'm not talking about SENSE. I'm talking about CENTS. It's all about the money, but the popularity has never been higher.
Gary, I know you got to go in a minute. You said a couple of years ago, Alabama fans felt like, hey, we are the tip of the spear in college football. Why do we have to pay? And you did get what they call the Nick Saban discount. And I give you credit for coming up with that.
Well, I think at the time, I think Alabama was able. And listen, I think Nate Oates is still doing it in basketball. I mean, they're paying Phylon, but after that, they got guys here that could be making more money elsewhere. So I still think there is some validity in that if you have a program that produces guys that go to the next level and have a style of play that players enjoy playing in, that you can get them maybe at a less of a rate than what they could get somewhere else. At the same time, you're not going to get them for anything. I mean, that's just the real reality of. And I like what John said about people are stepping up, but I do see, or I sense, again, the action's great, the game's great, the excitement, enthusiasm, it's all there. But I still feel like it's simmering underneath, calm waters on top. I feel like there's something brewing, and I do worry about the schools that don't have the resources that these Power 4 schools have. What's going to happen to some of these programs? I am concerned about that. I worry about the Olympic sports, and even possibly in the
Whoa!
Oh,
hey, I won't come on your show, Gary Harris.
It's game day, baby. Are you ready? Are the tires fired up, Willie? What they gonna do, Willie? They gonna be blitzing. Let me see you blitz. Get out there, Willie. Get out there. That's what I'm talking about, Willie. Yes, sir. Let's go. That's how you got to get out there and you got to do it. The time's ready,
put him
baby.
on the defensive line. He'll rush the quarterback. But I do worry about keeping up, and even at the bigger schools, John. If at some point he's funny, he is funny. I have to give him that. At some point, you don't have success when you're investing. How much longer will big investors say, "Hey, again, at the end of the day, these people are going to want something for their money, and they're going to want wins." That's when right now everybody's invested because this is new, and they're being told, "Hey, we got to have this to compete." As close as Mississippi State is, as close as Auburn is, you keep piling seasons up like that, and eventually somebody's going to say, I'm not paying. We want to win, and we're not getting a return on our investment. What happens then?
Hey, one thing I've learned is every client, especially the ones with a ton of money, they keep score. They know the number and do quarterly reviews, semi-annual or annual. But by God, be accountable. John?
Gary, I think the other factor there, and you make great points, is don't forget where we are as an economy right now, too, and what the stock market has done and what oil and gas are doing. If all of a sudden, and gosh, we all hope that doesn't happen, but if we go into a recession and discretionary dollars, whether you've got $100 invested or $100 million invested, that shrinks, and then all of a sudden we've got a different story. But I think as long as the economy is good and people are enthused about their team, whoever that may be, you'll see the money flow continue.
Hey, I gotta go, guys.
Gary,
thanks.
Gary,
See you, Gary.
Thank you so much. We'll do it again next
Appreciate
week.
it.
You bet. Matt Dean, John Hartwell, executive producer Brendan Martin. We are blessed beyond belief. And all of you watching, share us and like us. And look, you always go to www.sidelines.live. But we're on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube every day. And this channel's got stuff morning, midday, and night. And our sponsors, let's say hello to them. Landers Ford, John, Matt, Brendan, everybody. No better place to buy a new car, truck, or SUV. Ask for Brad Bellamy, the general manager. Poplar and Houston Levy, right where Germantown and Collierville come together. I love this company. Landers has their name on 6 high school stadiums around the Mid-South. Collierville, Houston, Rosemart. The bottom line at Christian Brothers High School, Tom Nix Stadium, Landers Field. What a commitment. And they're just a great corporate partner. Open every day of the week except Saturday. And they're right down the street from our good friends. And I love the sign that J.M. Huffman made for me the other day, Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company on the historic square in Collierville, Tennessee. Go to hewlettanddunn.com. They've got your Barber, Filson, Wrangler, Ariat, STS, Pendleton, Schaefer, Duckhead. You name the great brand, over 7,000 pairs of men's and women's boots, and the best service that you'll ever find from Charles Hall, his wife, Laura, Raven, J.M., Lydia. Love these people here in Memphis on the square in Collierville. Get out there, hewlettandunn.com. How you fight is how you live. You never stop moving, never stop working out. Get in there and get in the best shape of your life. 45-minute classes with weights and calisthenics and boxing, hitting those bags, open every day of the week. And the Lights Out gummies, go to that website, hempforpros.com, but they yield with the professional athletes. Hempforpros.com, hempforpros.com. Lights Out sleep gummies. If you're having trouble sleeping, these are the absolute best. And they've got the chill, the energy They actually help me. They keep you from being hungry all day. You can order them all. They're quick on the delivery. Great products. hempforpros.com. That's Dave Bartu. Hey, most often we see the face of Christ in the least among us. For everybody watching, God bless you. God bless America. We'll see you tonight on this channel. Take care.